Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. In this video, we are going to take a trip to Colorado. And by we, I mean myself, my wife, and now you. So long story short, we got invited to Kalktoberfest at SASHCO. And I still don't really know what that event was about, but we had a lot of fun. SASHCO makes big stretch Lexel through the roof sealants that we use and have used for many years. So anyway, we got to go and hang out with the Perkins brothers and their crew and some others, Aaron Miller. That was a blast. So what my wife and I decided to do, if we're gonna go to Colorado and it's close to fall colors, definitely we were past peak colors, let's just drive around the state and go a few days early. And that's exactly what we did. We drove all over the state. Stayed a couple nights in Silverton. We went to Telluride, back and forth through Ouray, Glenwood Springs, I think it was, Iron Mountain Hot Springs. That was like a highlight. And then we made sure that we landed in Evergreen via car, not airplane. And we went through what I personally think might be the most fun that I have had on a job site walkthrough. So that was with Luke Mann from Rangeline Homes, one of the nicest people I have ever met. Outstandingly beautiful work. The architect knocked it out of the park on this project. So this video is going to be quite long for two reasons. One, there was so much to talk about and see, and it just didn't make sense to break it up. Luke is fantastic. And so I think you're going to really enjoy the explanation, the architecture, where we're at in the mountains, some fall colors. And then we got to go to Truwerk headquarters. Now, if you have followed us for any length of time, like 2017, something like that. This jacket is 4 years old now, I think. I am all things Truwerk. I'm wearing Truwerk, shirt underneath Truwerk, pants Truwerk. I absolutely love the clothes. Now, we wear them and we're comfortable at work. I wear them around the house. I wear them hiking. So we got to interview Brian, the CEO of Truwerk, and find out, besides visiting headquarters, how did Truwerk get started and why is it that they're such a disruptor? For many years, we wore just the same flannels, maybe fleece that we bought at Walmart or Sears or whatever, maybe online. But this stuff, the stretch has just made life, I mean, we look amazing and now we perform even better than we look. So I don't really know what more to say about that, but I'm gonna put that at the end of this video. I got to sit down with Brian for like a half an hour. He's such a cool guy, and everybody at Truwerk has been outstanding to deal with over the years. So enjoy this video and make sure to go give Truwerk a follow. And Luke from Rangeline Homes. And Luke, again, man, thank you for the hospitality. I have an idea, Luke. So what if I got 2 tickets to general admission at Red Rocks for Lord Huron in May and gave those to you, and then Nikki and I got 2 more tickets, you know, to sit closer to the stage in seats at Red Rocks. True story, that's already happened to everybody. So we have plans with Luke and his lovely wife, Kim. We are gonna go back to Colorado in May. So it's about, what is it now? It is November 14th. We're gonna go back and see the house finished. So this is essentially part 1. Part 2 will be a return trip to Colorado, probably SASHCO, hang out with Luke and Kim, probably go back to Truwerk headquarters, and probably some footage of Lord Huron. Live at Red Rocks, it's the Strange Trails album. It's like the 10th anniversary. That is my Desert Island disc. Hey, do me a favor. Comment below, what is one of your Desert Island discs? I'm always looking for good new music. So anyway, let's enjoy the video together, or just try. And the previous 20 takes for this intro were terrible. So let's just get into the video. All right, are we ready? All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are in Evergreen, Colorado with Luke Mann, Rangeline Homes. So there's no such thing as a vacation anymore.
That's right.
Because we got to go visit job sites, which is fantastic. So tell us a little bit about the area and the project.
All right, so we are in a development. There's a lower portion of this development. There's an upper portion. There's about 14 home sites up here. I think there might be 1 or 2 still available, but we have this home that we're building for a client. It sits on multiple lots up here, and it's a great spot. We're up on top of this hill. great views to the west, great views to the south, and yeah, really beautiful.
How far are we from Denver?
We could make it downtown Denver in about 40 minutes.
So do a lot of people live here and commute?
A lot of people live here and commute.
Okay.
Yep, that's a great place. That's the great thing about Evergreen. A lot of people love the small town feel. I don't know, did you go by the lake down there?
Yeah.
So you saw the lake, there's a lot of activities going on here, but the access to Denver is fantastic.
That's a little bit like where we're at, Seattle to like Cle Elum, Ellensburg. There's a lot of people that will live and commute on I-90.
Okay.
And if there's no traffic, you can make it in less than an hour.
Okay.
So it's pretty nice. What does a lot go for up here? Do we not want to say?
It's quite a bit.
Because somebody watching this video is going to hire you to build them a house up here.
That's
so
right.
it's affordable for certain people.
Shoot me a DM and I'll tell you the price.
Yeah, by the way, what's your YouTube channel? We got to plug that.
Rangeline Homes. You can just look up Rangeline Homes. Yep.
So go follow Luke's stuff, because like the stuff that we're doing is small. I feel like it's smaller. Watching your videos on what goes into foundations, yeah. I mean, it's like, yeah, I'm looking at it like, holy cow. You know, here, do you guys blast often for foundations?
You know, we used to blast more. I like ripping the rock just due to the liability. My insurance company was like, hey, you probably shouldn't be blasting anymore. So yeah, that's kind of changed how we do some things. Yeah.
Our insurance company tells us lots of things. We can't, if there's a wildfire within 20 miles, they won't insure the windows in the house or the house. And we're just like, but we're by the water.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about blasting.
Yeah, we definitely have to worry about wildfire up here. So yeah.
Okay. And which I think we'll get to. I think that's a great storyline.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Shall we walk up and take a look at it? So
this client previously had a house design in another development. It was a gated community up here in Evergreen. The next door neighbor did not want them to build that house. And so
we've had that a few times.
I mean, which is legit.
Yeah.
And that homeowner was like, hey, I'll pay you and reimburse you for all of your expenses plus some. So they did it. The client had concerns about where they would build because they loved that lot. It just so happened that I had toured this development before it went on the market. And I was able to present this to our owner, our client, and they toured the lots. Like next day they put in an offer, sold their previous plans and everything to that neighbor, and here we are today.
Interesting. So like, what's the timeline on all of that?
That's a good question. I think it's been 3 or 4 years now, from the time we went shopping with that client when they were looking at property originally, plan development. We went through, like, we had plans ready to go for construction.
What's a typical timeline for you guys?
6 to 8 months of pre-construction, and then 20 to 24 months of actual construction. So
this is my style.
Yeah?
There's one down the street too.
Yeah.
I like the flat, shallow roof.
Yep. And I talked about it in our last episode on YouTube. Like, I think the architect does an awesome job fitting these homes onto this landscape. You know, we're not going above grade. He's really actually setting the house into the landscape, which I really, really appreciate. There's Pat.
Yeah, I'm with you. We've seen a few of those here in Colorado where, like, I can see across, there's some that just, they stand out.
Yeah.
You see them wherever you're driving.
Exactly.
And others you have to do a double take, like, oh, there's a house there. It just blends in.
And there's so much more to this house, like on the other side, that you wouldn't even know is there. So I love coming up this driveway. You barely see it peeking out of the landscape, and yeah, it's really, architect did a great job.
Yeah, I'll say.
We talked about wildfires a little bit, and I know you and I had talked about that. A lot of people, we are in a WUI code regulated
Which stands for? What does WUI stand for? Put it in the comments below.
Basically, it's a fire code that we need to adhere to. We need non-combustible materials on our exterior. We need certain ratings of our vents. Like if we have a vent on the exterior, the screens need to be at a certain regulation. But like, this is wood siding. This is actually wood siding done here in Colorado, and there's a treatment done to it to make it fire rated. Yeah. Because a lot of people actually still want wood, right? Yeah. The look of wood, the feel of wood, and
Steve Brick says wood is good, and
yeah,
I don't care what all the reasons are. I just like the look of it.
I know, it's really beautiful. This is a company out of Gypsum, Colorado, and it's Vintage Woods is the name of the company, and this is a custom color that was developed by the architect and the designer.
What's the species?
Hemlock.
Hemlock. Okay,
yeah, hemlock.
Interesting.
Clear. You won't see many knots. We sprayed that little bit of black. We've got a little bit of like a shadow line reveal, so.
That's what, so years ago, the guy that used to work with me, 20 years ago, we had like a window up in a dormer that the dormer didn't go anywhere. It was just added on the roof.
Yeah.
And he's like, we need to spray paint the black, the back black, so you get the reflection.
Yeah.
All right, and sure enough, you spray paint it when you drive by, no one would ever know.
Exactly.
They just think it's dark inside.
Yep. We do that on our vents as well. Like some of our vents, you'll see we spray the inside of them black, so you can't see that shiny metal on the inside. Yeah.
Fastening screws, trim-headed screws. Are you furring this out with something to hit with the screws, or blocking in the wall?
These are being screwed directly into our 5/8 zip.
Okay.
Yep. And they are stainless steel, color-coded trim head screw, and we do have keen rain screen behind this on top of the zip.
And that's the rain screen?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yep.
How do you like installing this? Is it fairly easy?
Not too bad. I mean, these guys do a pretty good job. They hit all of our circles. They make it pretty easy. You can see over here, this has been up for quite some time actually on this side.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
little details. These little finishing details are kind of nice. I love seeing this. We talked about it. It's this mascara.
And that clips onto the window?
This tucks in behind the window.
Okay.
Yep, right behind there. Yep, exactly. But then it also is flanged to the other side it sits behind the siding as well. But yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Isn't it beautiful?
And then the windows, are they triple pane?
They are triple pane. Yep. Thermal broken.
So I really like the Innotech, the triple pane.
Yeah.
We saw, I think Aaron had a Salamander. Great.
Yep.
Unless you're the installer, So if we keep doing this, especially with big windows, I'm telling Brian, let's just plan smaller windows. Instead of a big 6060, let's do two 3060s.
They are very heavy.
They're insane, but so quiet. Like we're inside and we had water dripping on the plank, which is very loud, but we're not hearing it.
Yeah, and that was one thing I was going to talk about as well when we go inside. It's an exterior staggered stud wall.
Okay.
And so with that, along with these windows, so quiet. It is so quiet inside this home.
Okay.
Do you sleep with the sound machine on?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost too quiet.
I'm not afraid to say that.
Oh.
This is funny story. My mom, when we were like infants, somehow got a white noise machine.
Yeah.
We all grew up sleeping with it. She does. We pack them everywhere we go for vacation. Nikki's got a little one that USB charges.
Yeah, we've got the little like ohm thing that you can turn, and it's got that.
But I don't bring it when I travel alone because I'm like, I should be man enough to sleep when it's quiet. And I just lay there.
I just use my phone.
I've tried that with some apps.
There's no noise. Yeah.
Sleep. We could do a whole YouTube series on the importance of sleep. So
have you been sleeping well out here?
My sleep scores have been pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the elevation and everything.
The elevation killed me in Silverton.
Yeah. What were you at there? 9?
12,000?
Really?
No, 10,000.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, 9 or 10.
9 or 10. We went up to 11 up over the pass.
12,000 in Canadian.
Yeah. In metric. Aaron had a lot of those jokes. I edited up most of them out because of the people don't get them. Okay, so on the outside, we got to talk building science a little bit.
Totally.
I'm not versed. You're more versed than I am, I'm sure. So what have you done for because you guys are going to blower door test this and all that?
Yep.
Is that code required or do you just do that?
It is code required. Here it's 3.0 or below. I've done a pre-blower door test. So we didn't have all of our air sealing done. We didn't have our garage door in. We didn't have multiple. And we were sub 1 at that time. No drywall was in either. We've got Sega Myrex on the inside. So we've got a 2x4, 2x6 staggered wall. So it's thermally broken. So we have continuous insulation on the inside of the wall. We don't have exterior continuous insulation.
Okay.
But it is 2x8. Yep.
So it's a 2x8 bottom plate?
Yep.
And then
2x8 bottom and top.
And the outside studs are 2x4 and the inside are 2x6?
So that is something, the outside is 2x6.
Okay.
The inside is 2x4. I wanted to go 2x4, 2x4, but the engineer didn't want us to do that.
Do you have like seismic requirements up here?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
Yep. But yeah, our primary air barrier
is going to be zip.
Zip, yep.
So you're taped at the bottom.
Taped at the bottom with the favorite, we've got Fen trim all the way around, which is the best. And on the inside, we've got Myrex. We've got our strapping.
We need Temu to start making knockoff Siga products. I'm just kidding. that would be pretty hilarious.
Yeah, Temu. But yeah, it's the first time we've ever done the Myrex and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so they've done a great job. To blow sub 1 was pretty good on the first try.
Yeah.
Which is great.
And this is behind all of the siding?
That's correct.
You said, okay.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure.
We have areas where you'll see just black, and that's just like a UV, I think it's Benjamin Obdyke.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have some open cladding going on there.
Okay.
And that's just going to be steel paneling. And so when you can see through it, it's nice to have that black.
We did that
behind.
once for an open joint siding.
Yeah.
It was easy. Yeah, we put the little rain screen battens over it
Oh, okay.
because we needed it to drain. We did like the AZAC horizontal with the open joint.
Sure.
So we needed it to drain.
What was I saying about the inside? I forget.
Staggered stud.
Staggered stud.
Engineer you wanted 2x4, 2x4.
I think I would like to do 2x4 on the outside next time, 2x6 on the inside, because 2x4s, when they get above 9 feet, they get to 11 feet or whatever, they feel a little, you can almost push on them a little bit. And our framer's here, I believe, today doing some stuff. Yeah, there he is. He brought that up to us, and it was a good comment. So, but there's a lot of wall paneling, so we're actually we're doing 5/8 drywall, so that will help for sure.
Yeah, I kind of wonder for us longer term if we're going to keep doing LVL studs where it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's insanely stiff. Aaron had the one wall. When you're pushing on it, we can get all walls to vibrate.
Yeah.
That one, it's like doesn't move.
LVL, not LSL.
LVL.
Okay.
I don't like LSL because it's really hard to shoot through.
Okay.
The only thing that is, even the max high pressure, the nails want to bend.
Okay.
Because they're not as high quality, but like you pay more money for pass load nails, they don't bend.
Okay.
But you can't pull pass load nails, so you have to just cut them.
Okay.
So it's like, I don't like working with LSL. It is way too stiff, but LVL is easy, but then it costs more.
Sure.
So it's like, man, that is beautiful.
15s.
Okay.
Which ended up being like a 1/4 inch. You're talking about at the bottom of the siding?
So how do we want to
create that airflow behind? Is that what you're referencing? Yeah. So there's a gap at the bottom and there's a gap at the top, and that allows for that airflow, as well as any moisture that were to get behind here. I don't ever see moisture getting behind here.
Do you guys get a lot of rain here? Because you're drier and you get snow.
We get enough rain, and it can come in large quantities very fast.
Okay.
So our humidity fluctuations can be very quick, especially during the summer and monsoon season. But you can see all the flashing that we had to put in prior to, so that we get the proper lapping.
It's all riveted on the corners.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
I have to watch Stumpin' Horse video on how to bend the corners. Cut them every single time I do it.
He makes it look so, he's just like,
I swear, we need to get video of him just like blindfolded.
see if he can do it.
Yeah, I bet he could.
Then we've got aluminum. So this will be aluminum. It's matched the windows. This gets popped in on the side. They won't have any fasteners or anything.
Okay, so this is slightly recessed.
Yep.
The window.
And that'll lock in behind, the aluminum locks in behind that little flange.
Okay. So then the gap at the bottom, the architect calls out and wants, how big? Is that like 3/8?
3/8. It's probably a 1/4 in some areas. I know he's got a little block that he uses that he just puts down there, and then you can see up there we've left it because we've got 3/4 material going over the top. We'll have an equal gap up there as we do down here. Okay. Just to allow for that airflow.
Yeah, nice.
Yep. Pretty cool.
It's all the little detailed stuff.
We had the guys plywood the soffit below the soffits because I don't like, on the East Coast they do all that strapping.
Yeah.
They put that 1x3 strapping, and that's, there's certain reasons for that, but I like how it creates a really nice flat plane. And so we did that here. And we can get more out of our T&G. We don't have to land on a joist.
Oh, right.
We don't have to cut off. And when we turn the corner, and we can just nail directly into the plywood.
Those are the things that are like the tips and tricks for YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah.
That some people will look at and go, well, you just added all this extra cost.
Yeah, but we reduced the labor.
And that's, yeah.
But at some point, to quantify that would be great, like to throw it in an Excel sheet at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they hogged out the back of a lot of these where the hangers are hanging down just a little bit to create a real nice flat surface.
Are these trusses or I-joists or what are?
These are TJIs.
Okay.
Yeah, TJIs. There are some trusses, open web trusses over there above the garage.
There was a guy, I really wish that we had planted in Ouray. He messaged because he saw the story. And so we're on the way back, he was gone, but we pulled into his job.
Is that the picture you have?
Yeah, they had all the exterior up. But they had the truss joists running out the house for the cantilever deck.
Okay.
And I was like, so I would have liked to have gotten over there and had him explain that. Because then you got to seal all that up.
Yep. And then Ben Somrak out of Crested Butte.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Hey. How are you? Good, how are you? This is Pat. We could pause there.
Times where I'm like,
Yeah.
There's also a lot of times where I send the drone up and I forget to press the button.
Oh, God.
And we lift the wall, we do this, and I'm like, all right, I come in to land it, and then I hit the button, I was like,
oh, crap.
So now I'm recording my feet.
Definitely done that before.
When I took the drone class, he also teaches Like they've got this whole thing. They teach pilots.
Yeah.
Everything's checklist.
Okay.
And I'm like, how come I'm not a checklist person as a framer? So I'm trying to do that more instead of relying on my memory.
Yep.
Which, not to plug company cam because I'll cut this out. That is turning out to be pretty outstanding.
You have that. Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
I'm doing videos for him.
Yep.
And now I got Brian into it because he's a hard sell. He's a chip off of.
Pat's always been like, we should definitely think about company cam.
Because I like literally can talk here, and take pictures as I'm talking. It has the AI note feature.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, make sure you spray paint the top, 3/8 gap at the bottom. Here's the order of operations, and you're just talking out loud.
Yeah.
As long as you got an internet connection. If not, you got to get one, and then have it generate the thing, proofread it. You can adjust it,
and it'll just create.
It creates the checklist with pictures, because as you're talking.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and it's getting better. It's like not perfect, but each time I use it, I'm like, I don't think I'm getting better using it. I think it's getting better.
Do you know how much it costs a month? 30, 40, somewhere in there, or more?
I'd have to look it up because I started to get the calls from their sales team.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I'm doing videos for you guys, so I'm not paying for it.
Right.
And they're like, oh, okay, we didn't know. We didn't talk to Aiden. So then I was like, well, give me the pitch anyway, because once this thing ends, I really think we should use it. I got to be able to convince my brother. So then the guy's like classic car salesman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not committing this weekend. I got to talk to him. Like on Saturday, I'm getting text messages.
Hey, have you thought about...
and lowering the costs. And I'm like, okay, so this is the game.
If you sign up by Saturday afternoon,
We had a friend, 10%. He was extremely tight, as we'll say. And they were dealing on a 4Runner about 20 years ago. And his son was like 13 at the time. And it was pouring rain. I know he did this on purpose because the guy had to go across the street to his manager every time they had a... And so like the 5th time, Ty was like, said to his mom, Dad likes this kind of stuff, doesn't he? And she's like, yeah. And like he just basically grinds the guy down until he gives him the best price.
And he's soaking
And he
wet.
plants it around the weather, which is pretty genius. I'm like, oh man. But so we could look up the cost, but it's been great because you can specify, here's what we want the size of the screw, all that stuff.
That's awesome.
It's hard to show some of that stuff in a 1-minute reel, but the subscription I think starts at like 3 people.
Okay. And
then it goes up from there.
Okay.
So for us, I think after Brian started to use it a little bit, and you can like say voice descriptions to the picture as you take it.
Okay.
And tag them, all that good stuff. So how do we get in this place?
We'll go around the garage. That's the, so this is like the master wing. So main entry though is over here. It's all blocked off.
So is this what the open joint will look like on the other side?
This is just horizontal wood siding at this point,
Okay.
but it's, we don't have any, there is no open joint here. It's where the steel is going to be. It's going to be about a 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch gap at the steel, so you will be able to see behind there. Yeah, this is just different color siding. Yeah.
That is beautiful.
This is kind of cool. I mean, you can get a look down that side of the house. Big cantilever over there.
Okay.
We can go inside though.
And that's the same hemlock, just different color?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep, that's correct.
Oh, that is a massive cantilever.
Can I introduce you to Troy?
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm Tim.
Nice to meet you.
Nice clothes.
Yep.
I've got the same one, but I haven't worn it yet.
I gussied up for you.
Nice.
I load up with the Truwerk.
Got to get the pink one.
Yeah.
I've got the pink one. I'm loving it.
Too. We were in Vegas this last week, so I wore it around.
Nice.
You were in Vegas. You were
watching the implosion of the tropical.
Oh.
Yes.
I saw that after the fact on a news thing.
Yeah.
We were there.
Troy's been the master carpenter.
So anything
framer.
on this house that was particularly challenging?
Oh my gosh.
It's not that hard. It's just with a lot of the steel and stuff in the roofs, it's just so much of everything, so many hangers, so many, trying to get things to line up and dealing with the steel and the steel wasn't quite good.
Yeah.
So, that was one of our bigger challenges. But then, getting on the inside, we've been in a long time doing the Marex and things like that. Total learning experience. And
first time doing that, and you guys have done a great job.
Yeah,
with it.
yeah.
I mean, really.
And so it's a cool system, and hopefully this isn't the first and last project we put on, but
it's definitely. When I was younger, framing was all about basically strength and endurance.
Yep.
and production, right? But now it's way more mental.
Totally.
Yeah.
It is way, because you're using equipment, steel. Like look, being at Ben Morton's job, the way they have to plan lifts are like gone are the days of sheeting a wall and lifting them.
Yep.
There's just too many pieces to each one
Yep.
and that's just the way it is.
I would much prefer figuring out a difficult roof than to make sure that every little nook and cranny has tape on it.
Yeah.
I
And then
get,
somebody leans a board. Oh, fix that with
yes,
tape.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah, because we're like bulls in a china shop.
Yeah.
And this stuff, you know, that's like when I move furniture, because over the years, if we had a spec home for sale, we always would furnish it. And then, as a kid, it was my job to move the furniture, so we'd go after work and all that stuff. And I found that it hurt my body more to move furniture that was lighter than being framing, because you just bounce stuff off walls. You don't have to be careful and get in those awkward angles.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's changed. It's part of, like, for me, this building science stuff. It's why I have more resistance to it than like my brother. He loves it. For me, all I can think of is everything we used to be able to do fast, now we have to do slow.
Yeah.
And it's just changing.
Yeah.
But as I get older, it's probably better to do things slow.
And meetings. Tons of meetings. Tons of meetings.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of stuff has to be run through the architect. You know, on these projects, they are so architecturally driven.
This is
which-
the way we want to do it.
Yeah.
But not the way he wants
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah.
It's actually, there's a fine line as to making decisions on site versus deferring to the architect, and it's walking that line,
Yeah.
you know, intelligently. So,
And having guys stop. Wait.
Yeah. yeah. But
Move you to another area.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of that on this house, kind of
Yeah.
bouncing around
A
from
lot.
end to end, and
Yeah.
But there are, you know, worse places to work.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
I mean,
It's,
like,
you know,
uh-huh.
this is
Yeah.
my
you're
office.
here for a while. Our projects are not quick.
No.
No. Shall we go inside?
Yeah.
Want to see it?
That way?
Garage.
I mean, walking in, I can hear how quiet it is. You can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how warm it is inside.
Here we are.
And that's the final door.
That is the final door. Yep. A little bit of light around it, but no big deal. I mean, seals
You
up
do
real
the
nice.
board door test. They're like, your air leakage is exactly 2 inches by 3 foot. Like, we found it.
Yeah, it's a great little temporary door. Just walked into the mudroom.
Okay.
Mudroom, powder. There's a vista room. Main living is over to the left. But yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
Um,
It's so quiet.
isn't it? I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
We can go back into the master bedroom area, but this is the entryway here. Yeah, so like I said before, we've got a 2x8 staggered exterior wall. So we've got full continuous insulation.
We can kind of see, and then,
Kinda.
so that's the 2x6.
Yeah.
Well,
yep.
we'll get it with B-roll.
Yep. Pocketing slider into that wall there. That pockets into that wall. There's Troy. All lift and slides. Yep. On
Oh,
Zola.
that handle, that is nuts.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Go to open it,
Sure.
cool it off a little bit. Single finger operation.
And then what's really cool about, I love these about lift and slides, right? So you
Do
can,
that here.
Sorry.
does that need to twist? Obviously just lock it in place.
Get out of the way of the other doors.
Yeah.
We go right past it. Oh, nice.
This is my dream, to live in an indoor-outdoor
Yes.
space like this.
Wouldn't that be great?
Do these owners maybe need a couple of people in their 40s who are really easy to
A
be
nurse,
around?
I'm a nurse.
Yeah, Nikki's a nurse.
We've got bedrooms downstairs. I'm sure we can talk about that with them. But look at that.
Not too bad.
Nope.
I mean, look at the trees right down.
I know. Isn't that beautiful? That whole valley turns green. Obviously, it's all green in the summer, and you can see it now in the fall. Really beautiful.
This is a cool detail that I really like too. All this tile is pretty much flush to the top of the threshold. This gets filled in with tile
Ah.
to the top of this flagstone.
Nothing to trip over.
Just gonna see those little tracks.
Little
Yeah.
tiny track is
Yep.
all you're gonna see.
Very cool. Yeah, it's all the planning.
I know.
And I see the fence trim is nicely stuck to the concrete.
Yep. Without a primer.
Yeah.
Some people think you need a primer. I've never used a primer, and I've never had an issue.
It says on the box, no primer needed.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. I think I just did a little short on YouTube, and that's what I titled it. Because I had the box, and
Oh,
it was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
it says no primer needed.
Yep.
And people freak out. Understandably, because everything peels.
Sure.
So what are we looking at? Let's work top down. I see steel through here,
Yep,
and then I-joists each way for the rafters, basically.
that's correct. What are these, 14 inch?
Yes.
14 inch. On top of that, we have foam and our flat roof 90 mil EPDM over the top of that. So
Okay.
90 mil foam, 14 inch TJI, and then Sega. Myrex attached to that, and we've got our strapping or our utility cavities, as some people refer to
Yeah.
it. So there's nothing, really nothing in our exterior walls when it comes to like electrical. Obviously, plumbing isn't in our exterior walls. So we had to get our framing inspection before we ran any electrical, did any insulation,
Okay.
or put any Myrex
Do
up.
you have to educate the municipality? Okay.
Yep. But Danny, we've got a great relationship with him down at the county. Yeah,
Nice.
good to go.
Do you think they watch your stuff on social?
No idea.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, I think some of our inspectors do. They've been so good to us that we're like, they must be seeing everything that they can't see
Sure.
when they show up because we're posting it. Let me turn that down real quick. So we've got the Myrex. All the seams are taped.
Top layer, you want to go from like 90 mil on
Yeah,
top.
yeah.
Foam, so we've got a tapered foam assembly above. And then we've got our 14 inch TJIs. And then we've got our Myrex, and then we've got our strapping. And like I was saying previously, we had to get net and blown insulation. Yep. This was all done through, I don't know if you know Enrico with Emu Building Science.
I met him one
SFS.
time, yeah.
Yep. So he designed all of these assemblies, our exterior wall, our roof assembly, everything.
Did you
So-
say blown in?
Yep. Blown in. No spray
Yeah,
foam.
it's like everything's out of order
Yep. Exactly.
in a certain sense.
And we couldn't use the Myrex to do the blown in without, we did like a test wall over here and a test wall over there, but it's just too tight. It makes the cavity too tight, so you're not able to really dense pack and get the required density of the blown in that's required.
There was a minimal amount of spray foam on like all the I-beams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we had to do that.
On the I-beam.
That's right.
And the I-beams are all thermally broken at the exterior wall.
Yep.
Because it's two pieces
Yep.
essentially bolted together.
Yep.
Just using the pink board we saw earlier for the insulation on the steel.
We
Spray foam.
spray
Oh,
foamed a lot of
even like the
encapsulated them.
columns?
Encapsulated the columns, and then anywhere where we have a column set in, you put the pink foam on the outside
Okay.
of the columns. Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Some spray foam just
Yep.
where it was convenient, but too
Exactly.
skinny for. But yeah.
And you can just call the insulation company, schedule, and they come out and do that. Okay.
And or framers
Yeah.
on their
I
way
was gonna say,
around the house.
Yeah, a lot of times there's so many nooks and crannies you forget about. It's like
Yeah.
I'll just do it, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. So Steve and I were talking. I'm not that into building science. I like the framing, the hardware, the earthquake stuff. That
Sure.
fascinates me. But I have to know some of that stuff. But then there's other people, like my brother, architects, et cetera, they really like to nerd out on the stuff. So we're trying to figure out how could we do like a building science for the trades,
Sure.
because we have to do this stuff as we go. Otherwise it can't get done. So we have to know some of it, but we don't, if we know all of it, the
Yeah.
fuses go.
Yep.
So that kind of stuff where you've got maybe some Kansas spray foam that you're like, this is the only
Yeah.
time we're going to get here.
You know, like I said, this was our first time, so we were not that we don't not care, but it's like just like I said, there's so many hidden areas that I know that are there, and
Or we're
By
going to
the
get in trouble
time-
from Luke
yeah.
if we don't do this.
yeah, Luke, did you need to put insulation there? Did you do that? Did you? It's like I got tired of hearing that a few years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like I'll just do it, and he'll pat me on the back.
Yeah.
I equate it to like deep sea fishing. You rein them in a little bit, then you let them go. Then you rein them in a little bit, and then you let them go.
Just when he starts to gain some speed,
Exactly.
pulling back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for you installing this stuff, are there any tips or tricks to installing it, or is it kind of just house wrap?
It's pretty simple, similar
Did
to
you
house
cut
wrap.
them into specific lengths that you could work with?
We ended up we tried to measure, and we were getting a little excess waste, so we ended up leaving our roll just lay on the floor, let it roll out, and then at the end you kind of push it up and cut it and start on your
That's how we used to do Tyvek. We just kick it down the whole wall, cut it long.
on a windy day.
Yes. Oh man. Oh well. So this was probably the late '90s. Same thing. The people next door did not want us building there. So in the crawl space, it's raining, and we come back the next day. We realized they'd thrown all their kitty litter there,
Oh my God.
and we're like, and so the guy that taught me to
Used
frame.
kitty litter?
Yeah, I think well, I mean, it rained, so
Jeez.
we just assumed. And the guy that taught me was Mr. Passive Aggressive. He's like, okay, We just stapled Tyvek really high on our property so they can't come on, and just let it do that. Never heard from the guy again. Because it's awful.
It's the worst sound.
We used to deliberately like try to get it stapled tight if we knew we were going to be gone, just to not bug the neighbors. Sure. We'll get B-roll, like I'm seeing all the wire chases.
Yeah.
Which is great. Do you take pictures of all this stuff before you cover it?
We do take pictures, but we also do Matterport, which is like a 3D walkthrough. And so we have a company come in and they set their 3D camera, spins around. So we have full access to what's behind our walls for like the life of the home. And it's actually like, it's measuring the house as well. So you can measure, you can drag and drop if you want to miss a pipe or something like that behind the wall.
Can it figure out volume? So when you figure out your blower door scores, you're getting
It's not doing volume.
Okay.
But it is measuring, I think, everything to within 1/4 of an inch is what they say.
Volume
Volume would be sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's I'm a little skeptical sometimes with blower door scores, is that depending on who's doing the math.
Yep.
Like if the architect 3D modeled it, you get a pretty accurate volume.
And I asked him for that. Yep. So when we did it, we plug in what the 3D model is.
Nice.
So I know the exact
I've
volume.
tried to draw in SketchUp some of our weird, like you get a weird vaulted ceiling, and I'm like, go and do some as-built measurements and then try to model it. Because once you get it in 3D, you can like right-click it and entity info gives you the volume.
Sure.
Yeah, interesting.
And then you get those scenarios where there's crawl space that does breathe in through the house.
Yep, exactly.
Crawl space.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So this is like their wing over here. Their bedroom's down there.
It's so quiet that your voice dies from like that end of the hallway.
Isn't that crazy? That door, I don't know if that door's open.
It's cracked.
Yeah.
So what is the reason for the OSB on the lid?
It's all TNG.
Okay,
And
so
similar
nailing base?
thing. So just like we did on the outside soffits, we wanted to flatten this ceiling, and we wanted to make sure that it was perfectly flat, so you can see shims and all sorts of things in areas. So they've also spray painted where, you've got electrical running right behind everything. You're like down this whole hallway is.
Yeah, like we'll get this,
here.
Mickey, because it'll show
like
when we're talking about the
it's a
Myrex
100
later.
amp or 50 amp line running there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know for sure.
This is your swim spa. So they've got the ability to swim against
Okay.
a current. There'll be a flagstone kind of patio wrapping around. But yeah, once you get like that,
Interesting. And so that box just comes and drops down.
that's exactly right. You can watch that on our YouTube. 2
Yeah.
episodes ago,
Yeah, we'll plug
the
it.
crane, it was so high in the air. I wish I had like a heart monitor on, because everybody was just like, oh my gosh. And it was windy, of course. Oh my gosh, it was. And the homeowners were here.
Oh, that's the worst.
I think at one point she actually was like, oh. So this is bathroom.
So all radiant?
All radiant. Yeah, the whole house. But you can see, it's like,
I love it. It's so bright in here that, like natural light.
Yeah.
Do you listen to the Huberman Labs podcast?
oh, I know who.
Yeah, I love listening to it. He's Mr. Light.
Yes. Yeah.
Early morning sunlight and just light throughout the day. It's just good for us.
That's circadian rhythm.
Yeah,
Yep,
but
exactly.
well, like your wife said, moving from Washington to Colorado,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you just, I never felt like I had dealt with seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
We just go to work, do things, we feel like we enjoy life, and then in March when the sun comes out, we're just bursting with
Yeah,
energy, and it's
yeah.
like, oh, apparently we were depressed.
Sometimes I'll drive by on my way to work and there's a neighbor of mine that just stands with his dog on the side of the road and he's just standing there for that morning sun. Like it's legit. But yeah, this corner window. Samples, mock-ups of what the ceiling's going to be. We've got T&G on this whole ceiling here.
Yeah.
It's a lot of T&G.
Oh, yeah.
Just some mock-ups.
Boy, that's going to look great.
The architect makes a good point. His name is Tucker. And he's like, I can draw these things, but until I see the two different, you'll notice like this corner here, you've got essentially a butt joint there, which is just showing you a detail. And then here, you've got the mitered corner. And he's like, I can draw that up, but without like actually coming to the site and seeing it for real, like mocked up. He's like, oh yeah, I want that, that way. These things, I don't see these things though.
Yeah, I'm
all.
with you. And
Architects.
I'm very, because of building over the years, some customers are so picky that I just refuse to be picky.
Yeah.
So if somebody asks, we've had a few homeowners that are like, what would you do if it was your house? I was like, honestly, Bob, I wouldn't even be talking about this. Really? Don't use me as a barometer. I look at everything for how much work it will take.
Yep.
What's the easiest thing to do? Let's do it.
We are actually getting oxygen pumped into this room. So when they sleep, the door over there, the main door, is gasketed. So when they shut it, it drops a little seal, and this room will oxygenate. And so when they're sleeping, it'll be like they're sleeping at like 2,000 feet,
Oh, wow.
3,000 feet. So it's a technology that's used a lot in Summit County. You guys were just in Silverthorne. A lot of homes up there, new homes, are pumping oxygen into the entire home.
Interesting.
Here we're just doing it into the bedroom. So when they sleep, it's just a nicer night's sleep.
Do you find, like I'm seeing the Myrex product info, does it take quite a bit of education for you guys when you're dealing with new trades or whoever?
To educate our trades?
Yeah, because
the ones who are actually doing the work?
Yeah, because Steve's line, one of the myths we busted is that there's one kind of foam that's king. And there really isn't. There's too many variables. But he's like, his trick answer is, there is one that is better than everything. It's the one that's installed correctly.
Sure.
So like we get into all these products, they're expensive, like the end goal we have in mind, and it's whoever's installing it.
That's right.
How do you QA that and train them without just making them so annoyed?
I know.
Is that even possible?
We did a mock-up. Like we had them do a mock-up wall for us. Troy and his son Austin, who were the framers, and Austin moved since they did all of this install. I mean, I think you just got to get them on board, and it's developing that long-term relationship with these guys and just knowing, hey, this is how we want it.
Get the buy-in.
And get the buy-in. Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
and then when we do our blower door, we can say, hey, look at this. Like, it paid off.
Then everybody gets to feel like you did it. Yeah. We did a lot of volunteer work where the focus was safety because there was only a few of us that were experienced on job sites. And it was hard to get those of us that have done this their whole life to buy in.
Sure.
Because we just, like I was telling you, we never fell off ladders.
Yeah.
I've never fallen off a ladder. Statistically, though, it's a matter of time.
Until somebody does.
Yeah, and if somebody's going to fall off a ladder, it's that person who came to volunteer, but they really don't have the skills. But once you get the buy-in, then the whole thing's a lot easier. And
it's also maintaining and us being on site and being able to have that relationship with our trades to say, hey, this doesn't look right to me. Can we go back and fix this?
Yeah.
And it really comes down to our relationship with them as well as just kind of their overall attitude, right? If you don't have somebody buying in, they're not going to want to do it.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a bad attitude if it's wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was all a learning process for all of us on site.
Yeah. For us, I think it got annoying to Kyle because we kept trying new things.
Yeah.
And then you figure, like at the end, you figure out, you're like, okay, if we do this again, we're going to do it way better.
Yeah.
We never do it again.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we just got to pick something. And
it's like,
I'm like, I get it, man.
Here. Yeah. Are we ever going to do this again? I don't know. I don't know.
If you do, you'll be even better.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the detail. We'll get this on B-roll. How the darker trim is rabbited so that the upper trim can just tuck in.
Yeah. So quiet.
It's so quiet in here. And it just dies.
It's like the thermal resistance of the wall and it being thermally broken. Yes, that's the intended, why we did the wall. But the sound is like something that was nothing I ever expected. And I attribute that to the windows as well. I mean, the windows.
Well, that's what Christy said early on, is you can't really sell this stuff on the efficiency as the comfort.
Yeah.
And I think they figured that out, even Nikki's dad, when he worked with Joe, they figured out most people aren't going to stay in their house for the 35 years, the 40 years. It's not their forever house. Especially in this country, it used to be sell your house every 2 years, move up.
Okay.
So how invested are you into what you're putting into the house? Not that invested, at least where we're at. But then you start to get these comfort, like Brian tries to be on site anytime an agent is going to walk through with somebody, because he can point that out.
Sure.
Like they can feel it, but they don't know what it is that they're feeling. And it's just like, have you noticed that we're not hearing the neighbor's lawnmower?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We've brought clients in just to walk and be like, what can you hear? Not much. It's like,
I want to see, because we have two identical houses. The one is standard, the way we've always done it. Next door was our first time with Inotech and then Zip R.
Okay.
And so we want to walk around, have somebody stand outside the window playing the same song at the same volume, use the little decibel reader.
That's a great idea.
And just see.
We don't even have drywall up yet.
I was just going to say, I wonder with the drywall, how much difference that's going to make. Once
I
think it'll help, for sure.
I'm sure it will, yeah.
Yeah, you've got a quiet room, so.
Good sleep, right?
But you know what? I would just need a fan.
Let the kids self-soothe, and you can get your sleep. Yeah. Yeah, very well executed.
It's cool. Yeah, the guys did a good job.
Yeah, it's nice and tight.
Yep.
And that stuff is, So this is all blown in behind?
Yep. We actually had to net first with your standard netting that you would use. We had that all blown in, and then we put the Myrex over the top of that.
We tried to do it
Yeah.
opposite. We tried to not use the netting and just use the
Because you
Myrex,
can,
but it doesn't breathe enough.
you can cut it, but then you got to tape every
Yeah.
single one, and it just became a
Well,
bit
they
of a
couldn't
nightmare.
fill it enough because
Yeah.
it didn't breathe
Totally.
quite right. There's a closet about the size of my bedroom.
Tiles going in already. Steam shower.
Ah,
They can walk right out to the swim spa over there.
I need a cold plunge
awesome.
pool.
Isn't that awesome?
Very
Yeah.
cool.
This closet
Big
is.
tub.
Might fit all of my clothes in my
Yeah.
closet.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Definitely fit my clothes.
All your Truwerk.
Yeah, well, that's, I have to say, I'm just as guilty of all that stuff now. And I can't keep my Truwerk for work and my Truwerk for
I know.
non-work.
My Sunday clothes.
Yeah, I've like spray foam. You know, the first day I'll wear a pair, I'll get blood or something you can't get off.
Yeah.
Like spray foam.
Yeah. So, her office, his office, gym.
And then the slab, how thick is the slab?
I think we're at 4 inches.
4, and then what about insulation under it?
6 inches.
6 inches. Oh, wow,
Yeah.
okay.
And it goes horizontal, but then it goes vertical at 2 inches. And so around the perimeter we have 2 inches of foam. So it's completely thermally broken.
Yeah, beautiful.
But yeah, these mock-ups are super helpful. You can kind of see what's going to happen down at the floor as well. We've got essentially a sill. Here's our tile. So this represents the tile. There's a little sill that's going to run around. But yeah.
Glue lamp column.
Yep. Fen trim.
What's that seismic zone are you in?
Don't ask me those questions.
Just make up a number or a letter. We're D2.
I don't know.
Yeah. Is your seismic stuff pretty, just what the engineers are requiring, is it pretty crazy or is it pretty,
No.
like, okay.
I don't think it's anything like you guys have.
And we're not even, I look at
I can look
California.
at the permit, but you guys
But you got three bearing plates.
see. I spec these.
Oh, okay.
I
That's
don't
not
like-
required?
No, it's not required. Like that's something I like. Yeah, I just think it's a better end result,
Yeah.
especially when we have a 2x8.
Yeah.
You can see these are like our manifolds. So this would be the manifold. We'll have a cover over the top of this for all of our hydronic heat down in the slab. This runs like all the way down over into the mechanical. There's so much infrastructure in here that we had to do since we're slab on grade.
What is it?
Oh, yeah.
So much.
Manifolds in the house,
manifolds.
I believe.
Pretty dark.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. We'll get it with B-roll and I'll take the filter off. It's like a lot of this stuff's for the audio.
Sure. That's what I find when we're doing the footage with the couple that comes up. He just keeps it rolling, and
Yeah.
he just uses all the audio and overlays the B-roll. Everybody wants B-roll. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't want to see.
I never knew what any of that stuff was. It's like, I got into photography, that was a hobby, it was a good way to travel. But then on this video stuff, it's insane
Yeah.
having to learn. I'm my own IT department.
Yeah, but
I'm
you're
my
so
own
good
HR
at it.
department. When
You
getting
do a
better.
Great job. You do a great job.
That way, when you cuss at yourself, you
Yeah, I write myself up.
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, and about everything that can go wrong does go wrong.
Yeah.
You show up and batteries are dead, or that's part of the reason I used to stay after work and film everything. So I didn't want to slow down production. Then it just got to be so much work.
Yeah. That's
But
another
now,
job.
yeah, it is. But we're slow enough, and the young guys need to learn. So a couple years back, somebody was asking me, "Aren't you a little old to be framing walls?" And I was like, "Yes, but I feel good and I like it."
Yeah.
But the younger guys, they got to learn. So even if I really want to do it, it's like no. And I kind of like being able just to go home at lunch
Sure.
and edit, and now get to travel.
It's pretty.
Now I'm
awesome.
figuring out how do I get back to Colorado to see this place finished.
Yeah.
15. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Is there anything else like we just
Come
do a
quick
little-
over here. Come this way. Yep.
And you can see how they shim and shade the ceilings to get that OSB nice and flat.
Ah,
Yeah. All day yesterday. Just shaving down. Because believe it or not, framing is not perfect.
mine never has been.
Junior suite, bedroom. And then, I mean, you can look out there. full floor to ceiling glass. Here's the Maestro.
Getting it all flattened. I mean, would anybody really notice if it wasn't flat?
I don't know.
Do one room and see if anybody notices where.
Adam would notice.
Yeah.
He would notice.
True.
You'd see it along those windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would. Yeah.
Post
Oh wow.
to that end here.
Yeah. The steel, we're not going to use the steel guys again.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all right.
I mean, windows all the way. I mean, it's an amazing feel.
Glass of whiskey on a winter's night, snow's falling,
Yeah.
fireplace.
I got some good stuff from Aspen, that's Stranahan. One that's only available at the Aspen distillery, or at least the.
That's cool.
What's Stranahan's?
Yeah.
It's like an
Because they do a bunch and
it's like
then.
a special Aspen
Oh, and
version.
oh,
Yeah.
Plastics just flapping. What if we should check those before we get the moisture?
So you're mostly
The,
string lining. Do you use a laser for much of this?
Yeah, I lasered the uphill side and the downhill side, set those lines perfectly level with the windows, and then string lining from top to bottom. Using a gauge block to fill in between.
it's a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of planning.
Yeah.
That's the thing that just trips me out,
Yep.
is I don't know how I could keep track of any of it.
I don't either.
You know, like the electrical runs,
I know. So they get buried and they're just going to look like they're coming out of the wall.
just like they're floating.
So you can't see the bracket. Yeah. Just little things like
Yeah.
that, though.
Yeah, so they've come through and straightened everything out, like the cardboard shimming.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
Yep. It's got a little bit of forgiveness because it's all plaster. It's actually going to be like a legit plaster
Okay.
wall. The drywallers will take it to a level 4, and then the plaster guys will come in and finish it off.
And what is this?
Those are temperature sensors.
Temperature sensor.
Yep. I had to ask. I thought there was like a speaker or something. So this gets all mudded. You can see how it's out 5/8. This comes off and gets replaced with the actual sensor. So the sensor will be out color matched. So there's no thermostats or anything.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're getting like true real-time data for the
Yeah,
HVAC
totally.
system
Yep.
for every room.
Yep. I think there's 4 ERVs in the
So
house.
is it like engineers from SpaceX that do all the design here? It
Yes.
seems like it's that complicated.
It is very complicated. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say it's exhausting because that's maybe a negative, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Oh, there's a look at the double stud wall.
Yeah, here you go.
Okay. So which we might be able to see the plate. So 2x6 attached to the same.
This one's actually just 2x4. I
It
think
is,
this is
okay.
just more for sound on this one
Okay,
because it's kind of like a TV room on that other side. But yeah, you get the idea
get the idea.
of the staggered stud.
Age,
Here we are.
age before beauty.
How old are you?
40. I'll be 47 here pretty quick.
Oh, really?
Yeah. How old did you think I was?
44.
Close.
We're close. We're close. Well, thanks again for coming.
Hey, thanks for having us. We will definitely be back because now we've fallen in
You
love
gotta
with
see
Colorado.
the finished product.
We want to see the finished, yeah. We definitely want to come back to see fall colors 2 weeks earlier.
Yep.
Next year's our 25th wedding anniversary. Our 20th got interrupted by COVID. We were
Okay.
going to do the camper van in California. So we're like, do we do the camper van for our 25th in Colorado into New
It's a great
Mexico?
idea. Kim and I's 25th is next year as well.
We married
that.
saints.
Look at that. We could get a camper van together.
Yeah,
The 4 of us.
yeah. One of us needs Starlink. I'll do all the filming.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, outstanding job.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Really, quite a pleasure to have you here, to witness all of the planning and everything that
Oh,
goes
man.
into this house.
Yeah. So if you are not following Luke, go follow Luke. So what is your YouTube? Just at Rangeline
Rangeline
Homes?
Homes. Yep, you can
Yep.
search Rangeline Homes.
And
That's it.
Instagram.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Luke's
Yep.
worth following.
Yep.
Documents the thing from blasting or not anymore blasting
Yep.
all the way through the whole process. So
Yeah.
fantastic job.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having us. And I just want to say it again. Luke and his wife are probably 2 of my favorite people. Luke and I get to work together on some other projects, extracurricular of social media, but tangentially related. This is such a cool project. It was a pure pleasure to be able to go out there. It's kind of funny because partway through this video, You might have heard Nikki. We were on a time crunch because the next stop that I had was to Truwerk headquarters. So stay tuned. I'm going to put that at the end of this video. But here is just a compilation of some footage throughout the seasons. And special thanks to Luke for the footage and his film crew. Definitely go follow him. Besides the fact that this is some really cool work, he is one of the nicest people that I think I have ever met. And in my opinion, nice people should be followed. I don't even know what that means. What a cool project. It's absolutely beautiful. And I think we definitely will be back for our 25th wedding anniversary. I think what we want to do is just drive through Colorado. I mean, we drove the whole state this week. We were all over the place and then work our way into Utah. Anyway, thank you so much for following along. I really do appreciate it. The project videos are fun as we're framing and siding and doing foundations, but it is a very cool thing to be able to go visit true masters of their craft like Luke. So go follow him and hang on just a little bit longer. We've got about 20 more minutes in this video. We are going to talk to Brian from Truwerk and get to know what is the history of it. Everybody you follow on social media wears Truwerk. I'm completely decked out in it right now, about to head to the gym. Anyway, hope you enjoy the interview. Thank you very much. This was a long video, but I think it was definitely worth it. I'll just hit the start button, and then you guys, if you need to do anything. Yeah, it's amazing. All of this stuff. All right, are we ready?
Sure.
Is there anything you guys want to talk about too? So I was just thinking, who are you? How did Truwerk get started? And then maybe stuff that people don't know, and then where does Truwerk want to go? And he's good with words, a lot better than me, so.
He's good at wording.
All words, my wife.
Yeah,
You use all the words.
use all of them. Yeah, because
Pretty sure you used all the words today, she says.
yeah, just don't use too many, but use the best of them. How does that sound?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right, everybody. So I am at, is this fair to say Truwerk headquarters?
Truwerk HQ.
We are at Truwerk HQ, but I'm here with Brian from Truwerk, CEO.
CEO.
What
Founder.
what does that mean?
Yeah, no, CEO, I have sort of two roles, right? The founder role, which is really about trying to, understand the brand and where we come from, the mission, the values that we have, and then CEO part is kind of the less interesting part, which has to do with trying to build and grow a business and make sure that the foundation and the platform is delivering so that we can make the mission happen.
So, as I was mentioning to you before we started this, I just got a package randomly in the mail, I think sometime 2017.
Yeah.
So how did Truwerk start, and how did you find, we're all wearing Truwerk. My wife's wearing it today.
Yeah.
All of the influencers now wear Truwerk. We wear it hiking. I saw a guy at the airport that clearly was not construction, at least I don't think. And I'm like, that's a Truwerk coat. And I angled to see, you could see
the eyesight, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, it's Truwerk. I've had people come up to me, and they don't know anything about Awesome Framers or Instagram, and they're like, oh, how did you find out about Truwerk?
Yeah.
And I don't even know how to explain that to them. So how did this whole thing start?
Well, certainly our founding story really revolves around me working in the trades, going back into 2005, 2006, and working predominantly in what everybody was wearing, blue jeans and canvas pants, and building at 9,000 feet here in Colorado, Winter Park, Colorado. And getting soaked, I was talking about, remember getting my leg completely soaked in snow, and then, the sun would start to set, I have a big icicle on my leg, and we all just assumed that it was kind of how it needed to be. And at the same time, I was a pretty avid skier, alpinist, and hunter, and I actually took a trip to Europe to go ski and climb over there. And I realized that a lot of the guys that were doing the same jobs that I was back home were working in product that was more technical than I was there to ski and climb in. And so fast forward, it was probably almost 10 years. I worked in the outdoor industry building technical products for the ski market. And we sold the business to K2 Sports in 2013, 2014, and I had an opportunity to figure out what I wanted to do next.
That's interesting. So K2, for years for us, we're in Port Orchard. Vashon Island is a 5-minute.
Island.
And so we'd go and visit friends. In fact, I have a friend that's huge into mountain biking.
Yeah.
And so all those trails were the K2 guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
The legendary part of Seattle for many years.
Yeah, it's very nostalgic to go on the island and see the old K2 factory.
Totally. Yeah. And it was cool. That was I spent a lot of time skiing, great community, and, at the same time, the opportunity to bring really technical, high-performance apparel to the work market was this sort of confluence of things that I was super passionate about and still am. The idea of building really technical product, but then also serving a community of people. And, this isn't really a knock on the ski industry, but to an extent, that whole industry could go away, and there'd be a few folks that have to figure out what to do with their Saturday afternoons. And coming back to the trades and to the community that I'd spent some of the best days of my life working with, and being able to serve that community not only with a more technical and functional product, but also the opportunity to correct a lot of the misunderstandings that I found in working in the trades. There was this sort of view that life and work in the trades was all about hard work, and that success in the trades came principally from that. And my view was sort of like, hard work is important in everything you do, but the people that I saw being successful in the trades were combining hard work with a tremendous amount of skill, problem solving, ingenuity, creativity, entrepreneurship, right? I mean, in my opinion, the not only the largest, but the most successful group of entrepreneurs in the country are in the skilled trades. They just don't always get credited for that. So Truwerk, really, the founding idea was build the most technical, high-performance workwear in the world, and do a better and more complete job of telling people about what life and work in the skilled trades is.
What is, when you say technical, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's a good question. So this is using principally fabric technology that is, historically been developed for skiing, climbing, hunting, fishing, the military, and has yet to have made its way into the trades. Double woven soft shell fabrics, waterproof breathable membranes, UPF protective sun hoodies, right? These technologies have been around for, in some cases, decades, but in some strange, weird way, the people who needed them most were the last ones to benefit from them. So, our goal is to try to catch the workwear market up to where the rest of the technology standard is today. This is a market that's kind of still stuck in the 1800s. And then keep innovating. Our belief is workwear should be what is worn when the highest standard of performance is needed. So, we think about whether it's people going to climb Mount Everest or going to Mars, whatever it is, like they should be in workwear because that should be the technical standard. And so our goal is to make sure that workwear gets put back on the front edge.
But how does Truwerk do high-vis different?
I'll give you an example of high-vis and how we think about it, right? Visibility is about trying to, we start back from the most fundamental concept. High-vis is about making people conspicuous. How can they be seen in the work that they're doing so that they can be safe? This is a small, but it maybe a little bit ties back to a little bit of Truwerk and who we are. We have on a lot of our products, I'm sure there's on the back of my hood here, let me pull an eyesight here. These reflective squares, the rectangles, if you will, that are on almost every product we make. The concept with these is that humans, from the time we're born, our brains are programmed to recognize faces. You look at a baby and the first thing it starts to do is scan the room looking for a human, right? And that's very much part of our biology. It's part of how our brains are structured. And so when we set out to try to say, how do we create a reflective mark that is going to stand out so that somebody who's working on a roadway isn't hit by a car, let's say, we tried to tap into that. And so these eyesights, if you took a sketching course on how to sketch a human face, one of the first things they would tell you is that a human eye is proportionately one eye apart, or the two eyes are one eye apart.
Oh, interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right, so that the ratio of these two, these squares are always one square apart, or rectangles are
So that's like thirds broken up.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly, but the concept here is we're mimicking eyes in a way that triggers somebody without them thinking about it to pick up on somebody wearing our product when they wouldn't necessarily. So when we think about high-vis, it's really not just about a color. It's about the entire way a human in biology and the working environment operates. You might see us experiment with camouflage patterns in high-vis. And part of that is a fashion thing. Part of it is because guys like me love camo and whatever that is. But the other part of it is that most of a construction site is rectilinear. It's all vertical. And so one of the things that we've observed is that by creating patterns that have organic shapes to them, they stand out on a construction site in a way that simple taping, typical ANSI taping, actually isn't as useful. So our goal is to sort of, just like we get this from our customers, right? Our community is constantly thinking about the practicality of what we do and why we do it. And so we do the same thing in everything we create.
That's so, as an outsider, I've worn workwear since I was a kid. I'm about to be 47, so the last 5 years has been especially comfortable. So thank you, Truwerk. But it's interesting how somebody can come in and disrupt things. High-vis has basically been the same. Most of our clothes have basically been the same, whether it's flannel or it's canvas or whatever it is, even if it's jeans. The idea of standing out because of a pattern, and then therefore it's more safe, is like totally different. It's so fascinating to me how something can be the same for so long, and then it changes.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, we just did a pretty big spotlight on this group called Eagle Rock Ranch here in Colorado, ranchers that we've partnered with. I know Dave and their crew quite a bit, and one of the themes of this was this sort of tension between tradition and and innovation. And as a brand that's really focused on technical innovation, you might think that in every case we go, we've got to change everything just so that it's different, and that's how you innovate. And that's not always the case. I mean, there are times where pocketing, for example, why do jeans have a pocket that's mostly horizontal? Should we change that? Well, one of the benefits is that when you sit down, stuff doesn't fall out of your pockets. Okay, maybe we should keep that. That's a thoughtful feature. We don't have to change everything. And so as we think about the ranching, we work with our customers, there's always these things that in Western ranching have kind of always been done. Branding with a campfire instead of a propane fire, for example, right? Why would you use a wood fire to heat the branding iron instead of a propane? You talk to Dave, and Dave's like, look, we've tried the propane, and what it does is it creates a jet engine that makes the cattle uneasy. And it changes the environment, and we're not trying to do that. We want the cattle to be calm. We want this experience to be as peaceful and sort of non-event for them as possible. Therefore, we still use a wood fire in our branding. Everything is considered, but it doesn't mean that we change just for the sake of changing. And I think that's part of the tension that, as we, in the construction industry and the trades, there's constantly, you're learning as a young person how the older generations did something. And in some cases, it's completely the right thing to do and to replicate. And in other cases, you shouldn't perpetuate. They've done it, and there's a whole nother way to approach.
We're finding that with construction, is sometimes you think, oh, well, why in the world did they do it that way? And you go through the whole thought process of, let's try this because, well, we're focused on energy efficiency or comfort, and then by the time we circle back around, we're basically back to the starting point with just a few twists, because our materials are a little different, our tools are a little different. But it's like North American construction, lightweight construction is really a good construction.
It is.
It's easy to teach. Wood it's sustainable. There's all these benefits to it. Even in earthquakes, it's more resilient. So it's like we could try to reinvent the wheel, and then we just come right back around to, or we could take what was here and just iteratively improve it. So how do you guys find fabrics? Because I'm wearing the T1s. The T2s, the guy that works with me, he's like, I don't really need a new pair because I can't wear these out. But they do get to a point where there's enough blood, grease, everything.
Stains, and
it's time to move on. How do you find a fabric like that that's so comfortable and it lasts?
Oh man, it's not trivial. I mean, it's at the heart and soul of what we do. To an extent, performance-driven brand like ours is largely a fabric brand, and we spend countless hours in dollars and weeks and months working on the fabric, because it is, people say, oh, it's stretchy. The truth is, stretch is a big continuum, and you go from stuff that has a little bit of give, which we would say is probably not enough to really change the experience, to stuff that has no structure to it. It's just this big spaghetti fest of that's not what people need either. You need a fabric that has what we call rebounder structures, so that if you put a wrench or you put a hammer or you put something heavy in it, it doesn't fall to the ground, right? And so you're engineering the fabric in a way that has a tremendous number of qualities to it, and each one of them is a compromise in some way from another, whether it's breathability, whether it's abrasion resistance, right? All of these factors come into play. And then I'll say also that there's just there's an art to it, which is you got to know what it's like to wear it. What is it like to be on the job site? What are things that matter in an office environment? Maybe somebody on a job site never even thinks about, and somebody on a job site, it's totally different. So a big part of this is spend time working with our customers in our community, so that you gain a real sense for it. We have a core value called boots on. And this basic premise is you can't solve these problems sitting in an office. You've got to go close to go close to where the value is created. And so that means, get out of the office. We don't have a fancy office. You've been here. This is not our investment is in getting into the
Yeah.
field with our customer, not sitting in a in a little high-rise
Yeah.
little mini building.
It's like my work van. It just looks like I rolled down the road and kept driving. It's like, because at the end of the day, my dad used to say that. He even told us, because he's an accountant by trade, got into building when I was about 6 months old.
Yeah.
So he looks at things very pragmatically, like if we roll up cords every day,
Yeah.
how much does that cost in labor dollars?
Right.
If we don't roll them up and they get stolen every 5 years, we come out ahead. So we got into the habit of a lot of that.
That's great.
But he would always tell us, he's like, once a year clean the van. He's like, because he grew up on a farm and then construction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then his background was accounting coming out of the farm in college. He's like, he understood that everybody's tired at the end of the day.
Right.
So if your van is too organized, you're probably not working hard enough. You should be a little too tired to clean, keep it
That's
super
awesome.
organized. But that was the principle of you have to experience construction
Yeah.
to know how to do construction.
That's right.
So like a lot of this reminds me of clothes that I've worn hiking,
Mm-hmm.
but it is definitely more work than hike. But now I wear it at work and when I hike.
Totally.
I don't own anything that's not Truwerk for hiking. Period.
Yeah.
I think I have a jacket that's a raincoat that I bought when we went to Iceland.
Yeah.
That was not a work.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
something that would, even look a little bit better in pictures. So how do you guys kind of adapt that? Because what we were talking about a little bit earlier, now everybody's trying to figure out. We own too much Truwerk. We try to keep our work Truwerk separate from our
man.
going out Truwerk.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, look, part of what we try to do here is take our community, our customer, our user, and see them as a holistic person. There was a generation of trades folks and work folks who basically wore, a uniform that they couldn't wait to take off at the end of the day. It was not comfortable. It didn't represent who they were in a way that they wanted to show up at their daughter's, class.
Yeah.
It just didn't fit. We're trying to create a brand and a product that is encompassing of the way our community lives, and that's an end to end. So our folks, they get up in the morning and they go to coffee shops, they go to job sites, they have customer meetings, they have meetings with school counselors, they go hunting and fishing and skiing and climbing and hiking. And our view is that the product should move with them through their lives in a way that makes that a cohesive experience. And so, yeah, I mean, the product is, it should outperform any of the products that are in the outdoor market that are suited for those positions, because, our belief is that workwear should be more technical than any of those things.
That's so interesting. So you talk about the community, but we were buying Truwerk before where would Truwerk be if it wasn't for social media?
Oh, man.
And now we have a community.
It is.
Like we were talking earlier, on the construction side, we try to share everything.
Yeah.
The old days of you hide your techniques because that put you ahead.
Totally.
Share everything.
Yes.
Everybody gets better. It's more fun. It's collaborative. It kind of keeps work a little less work and monotonous.
Agreed.
Because you see something done, you're like, I never even thought about trying it that way.
Yes.
But now I call it the cult of Truwerk.
Yeah.
Because we're drinking the Kool-Aid. We wear this stuff.
Yeah.
People that I have friends that are not in construction, they see this stuff and now they're wearing it. And then their wife usually will be like, can you not wear that new thing that Truwerk came out with? Because now he's got to buy it. How in the world did you guys get to that point where the community is we're pretty fiercely loyal?
Yeah. I don't think there's any way to buy this, Tim. This has been a little at a time, and we were very fortunate that at the time where the social media world was sort of picking up, that was about the time the brand was launched. And so many of these people, like yourselves, started out as customers. We were talking a little bit about Stumpin' Horse, a few minutes ago, and I remember fielding customer service tickets from him.
Yeah.
And being like, hey, this thing happened, and is this right? But he was paying customers, and we've all sort of grown up together in a way that was pretty organic. I don't know that this is all just earned a little at a time. The product has to perform. We have to participate in the community and do our part. And so we're, that's our view of it. We talk about it as, really trading on sort of social currency and not dollars. And I think that's the way this community operates often, right?
It is, that's a good point. It is interesting to see how at least in this community on social media, and primarily Instagram, you can't go to a trade show now without everybody looking pretty similar because we're wearing the same stuff.
Yeah.
And then we can spot you. Like we do some building science meetups in our area, and my wife will be like, every other person's in Truwerk.
Yeah.
It's like now that's how we now know each other from afar. We're like, I've never met you before, but you're wearing Truwerk. We have something in common.
That's a big deal. I mean, it means a tremendous amount to us, and it's something that we don't take lightly. I think a brand says something about who we are and what we believe and what our values are. And to see people like you in that community comfortable representing yourselves in some ways in our brand is something that is, it's an honor for us, and it's something that I think we view as, in many ways, a responsibility to uphold. And some of that's in the way we create the product, but some of that's in the way we try to tell the stories and support the next generation, the current generation. There's a shared common goal that certainly goes beyond just trying to build businesses.
Well, and Truwerk's not super expensive. Like my dad, because he was an accountant, he always taught us, like, you don't look at the price of the tool.
Yeah.
You look at the total cost of ownership.
Yeah.
Does that tool allow us to do things we couldn't do another way more efficiently? Or are you just happier at the end of the day of using that tool? And so as we're trying to bring young people into the trades, looking cooler, feeling better.
Yeah.
Like I always stayed cover up because all the guys that I grew up that worked for our company, everybody had massive skin cancer, sun damage.
Yes.
So being able to be protected but comfortable.
Yeah.
Stretch if I'm wearing a harness.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting there trying to adjust, jeans or something.
Yeah.
So Truwerk started, what year were you guys founded?
2015, 2016.
Man, that's amazing. We're only 9 years in.
Yeah.
So since then, like, what's Truwerk today? Like, how has the volume grown? And then where do you see yourself, like, I don't know, 3 years from now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, certainly the volume is a significant change from where it was, back in the day, and a lot of that is just pretty small, incremental, one step at a time. Word of mouth is, principally how we grow. Folks talking about what works well for them. I think we're fairly patient about, how that works. We're not trying to force growth for the sake of growth. And at the same time, our mission is to really both build very technical apparel for all of the trades, and help people get a complete understanding of what life and work in the trades is about. And that's not a trivial, you can't do that with a small platform. And so, the business, the desire we have for growing the business is really about the ability to affect a greater portion of our community. And so as we think about the next 2 or 3 years, the commitment to our core of building very technical, high performance product, that will remain. We will continue to expand into additional segments, user groups, communities. Some of this is, a rural concentration, working more with farmers and ranchers. We see opportunity in automotive. We've done a partnership with a couple NASCAR groups at this point, and we know that we've got significant customers in heavy equipment, and so that world is interest. We think there's opportunity to expand there. But a lot of it is just continuing to deliver on the the promises that we make to our customers and the performance of the product, and making sure their stories are told.
So as far as like the core group or core product line, can we tease potential footwear?
Yeah, I mean, look.
And if not, you can always cut this out. This is totally up to you.
So footwear's a big deal, right? I mean, the same things that we see as critical in the apparel are still an opportunity on the footwear side. Big, heavy leather brown boots are, I've worn them. I still wear them on occasion. For the most part, I sort of opt for lighter weight, more technical footwear that allows me to have greater connection to whether it's framing, and I can stand on the framing members more effectively, whether I'm climbing a ladder. It is helpful for me to have more precision in my footwear than what is currently offered by and large in the market today. And so, you can anticipate that we're going to want to have a point of view on that. And that may start with, us bringing in some very specific partners who, we have a relationship with, particularly a couple folks in Italy. And you'll see that start to be introduced this fall. And where that goes, I think, will depend on what the community's reaction is and what they want to see more of. But yeah, I mean, the need for very technical, high-performance footwear does still seem to be there in this market.
Anything else about Truwerk or goals? I mean, anything else we should mention? I can always edit this in.
Yeah,
I'm not an interviewer by trade. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know if you knew
you're
that or not.
totally. One thing that's sort of helpful to understand about us is that we're obsessed with performance, and in some ways that that's reflected in our product. Our product is really designed to help people be more capable and to perform at their best, as we say, when that matters most. And so you'll hear us. We define internally performance as the ability for a person to achieve their potential, and in more simple terms, that is really about being at our best when our best is needed most. There's a view that you can't always be your best. It's just not possible. But if you can identify those times, those places and moments in your life where it's going to matter disproportionately, there's power to that because you can then prepare for them, right? And when you can prepare for them, they generally they go better. And so there's this mindset that we operate against internally that I think you'll start to see us talk about more externally, which is how do we help our community recognize the moments in life and work that matter most, and then prepare for those moments so that they can be at their best when they arrive.
Okay, so maybe along those lines, one thing Truwerk does really well is layering.
Yeah.
I know we've talked a little bit about that in the past. Can you explain your approach to layering? Because like temperature swings can be wild.
All the time.
Here it's 25 degrees in the morning, and like this is an unseasonably warm fall for you guys.
Yeah.
Same for us.
Right.
Where all of a sudden you're in the sun at 80 degrees.
Yeah.
So layering is a huge part of that.
It is.
How did you, or how does Truwerk approach layering?
So there's a philosophical approach to like why layering, and then there's sort of the tactical approach to how it works. Let me start with the tactical approach because it's pretty straightforward, right? There is a series of base layers that have their sort of purpose in life is to manage that next to skin comfort, principally transferring moisture and sweat so that you don't end up with a cold t-shirt in the hot weather against your skin. And then there's a mid layer that is really, its job in life is insulation, to keep you warm. And then there's a shell layer, an outer layer, that's really about protection. And that's protection from the elements, wind, snow, rain, but also abrasion, right, debris, dust, so if you get it, right? So those three layers work together to create both an element of protection from the elements, but also to maximize your comfort and productivity and safety against a large continuum of environmental conditions, many of which can't be predicted. And so this comes back a little bit to this idea of how do we enable our customer to perform at their best when that matters. There are going to be times where you don't know the storm's going to come in. Can't predict that, right? But you still have to be ready to perform. This versatility that the system allows can get a person to be able to be ready for things they can't expect.
That's interesting.
You can adjust, right?
Yeah.
You can adapt real time. And the truth is that in our world, our best is often needed when the conditions are at their worst and hardest to predict. So our philosophy is to try to create versatility in the solutions we provide. So again, that our community, when our community is at their best, their community thrives.
Yeah.
This is sort of like a value flywheel that continues to build.
Yeah.
And so we play a very small part in a kind of a beautiful process.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, for me, this has just been such a. So I'm almost 47, and I think all those years I used to buy certain pants oversized because it was easier to climb up ladders without binding. And I just look at those old pictures. I'm like, man, who was that guy? It was way more uncomfortable at work.
Well, I'm glad that, I mean, you've certainly, I remember reading articles from Journal Light Construction years and years ago that you'd write, and it's incredible to be sitting here having this conversation with you.
So I started...
You get to know your heroes a little bit.
Yeah, well, and this whole thing is that way, is I look at the people I follow on social media, and I learn from, when you spend time with them, they're just people.
Yeah.
And you actually love them more for it. You get to know their families a little bit, and you're like, okay, that carries through their content.
Yeah.
And then it carries through with their choices of what they wear.
Yeah.
Or even who they partner with.
Yeah.
So it's been, I never thought I'd be sitting here with Brian from
No,
Truwerk and working on
fun.
maybe collaborations.
Totally. It's funny, I think about reading, I'm just reflecting for a second on the comment about reading the JLC articles. I mean, that was in my household growing up, one of 2 or 3 magazines that arrived with, came down, the post office guy would drop it off and it got brought straight into a place of prominence in our household. And, those articles and that information, a lot of which now comes via social media, you sort of took for granted. You didn't realize the effort that was required to write the article, and that the person writing it also had a full-time plus job that they had to do at the same time. And I think part of what I've been able to gain visibility in working with folks like you is the amount of effort and work required to be able to give back to the community, given that you're often doing 2 or 3 jobs at the same time. And
a lot of it we're not paid for. It's like JLC, their budget's not big.
Yeah.
The people who are contributors, they did it for the love of what they did, and they wanted to share it.
Yeah.
And so, like, for me,
cool.
it was people online on forums that would share when I was especially young. They'd teach me things that would have taken me another 20 years to figure out. And now to see people paying that forward on social media, most of our content is not sponsored.
Yeah.
So thank you to the sponsors who work with us, because it allows us to do the other stuff too.
Which is important. Yeah,
Which is important, because we need more knowledge. We need people in the trades. We need young people in the trades. We need women in the trades. We need people that speak different languages, come from outside this country. Everybody to build. I mean, as we're traveling here in Colorado, I'm going to go watch Ken Burns' documentary. I'm like, I want to go down the whole history rabbit hole. Because we're seeing all the mining. This country, you realize the people that immigrated, their fortitude to come into these environments, and some of what they built is still standing here.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
So it's like, let's pay that forward. Building is a very cool thing, whether it's a house or it's clothes that look great on the job site, and then we go out to dinner in them. So well, I don't know what else to ask or say.
Great. Appreciate the conversation. It's great to have you here.
I'm glad I got to visit. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim.
This knuckle always pops.
Sorry.
Every time. No, it's not you. Anything we should have covered?
Do you want to tease your work here while you're here?
Oh, should we talk about what the potential collaboration? Or should we just leave that all secret? So some of you know we could buy, I think we can still buy some Truwerk hats with my logo. Truwerk on them. So originally when I reached out, I think to you, Jason, it was, I don't really want to deal with trying to sell hats. People were asking, hey, Truwerk, I love your gear. Would you sell the hat? Which is great. But now we're going to collaborate potentially on a sun hoodie and a hat that is wild. I love it.
It's awesome.
It is extremely nostalgic to my youth, and also just even where we're seeing Truwerk. Texting with Jason, I think one of the things that we're all learning is take our work seriously, but not ourselves. And so it's okay when we make mistakes to post that stuff. It's just to show that side of us that is just very human. But yes, we want the work to be taken seriously, and we're proud of it, but not so much ourselves. And that is definitely going to show through on this collaboration.
It's exciting. The collaboration and some of the work that you've done with us over the summer, to me it's a reflection of the energy that exists within our community, the people in the trades. There's this view that it's all sort of brown and gray and very bland, and you're just sitting there sort of hammering away through the day. But the truth is, if you spend some time on the job site, guys are having, there's some serious work taking place, but there's a lot of fun that takes place as well.
There's a whole lot of fun,
and so it's it's a treat to be able to bring some product to market that reflects the energy and the levity that we know takes place inside.
So anyway,
it's good.
Stay tuned for that.
Awesome.
Whenever that will be. Spring? Who knows? Sweet. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim.
Do you mind if I, as I wander through, just get some footage of the office and people can see what Truwerk headquarters is like? Thank you so much for following along, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed it. Special thanks to Luke and Kim for their hospitality, for Jason, Brian, and the others at Truwerk for just being such great partners to work with these last few years, especially. And Sashko, Les, Nate, Brittany, Katie, and the others that I can't remember. It was so, thank you for the hospitality again and the training. For those of you that are watching and have not been to Colorado, or you have, I highly recommend going back. Not just for the cool houses and the scenery, but Colorado, man, what a beautiful state. We will be back in May and probably again in the fall. Thank you, everybody, for following along. We'll see you in the next video.